So, is it that the most honest thing we can say is nothing? Or is it that the silence says everything? Can we add anything to the silence that is so deep and still? Do we need to embellish or explain a silence that is so rich and full? What are we hoping for when we have everything inside our own fully equipped silent heart? What are we imagining that we might find out there? What are we imagining might be better or greater than the silence of the heart? Is it that we have forgotten the profundity of the silence of the heart? Is it that we are looking for experiences and overlooking the direct, profound experience of the silence of the heart, where the knowing knows and the richness is the richest possibility? Knowing yourself right here in the silence of being. Where nothing else is wanted but this. Just the richness of this silence. Simplicity and openness. To just be here, just as you are. And in the silence to feel the natural, expansive, boundless reality of being. That everything that is longed for is right here in the silence of being, in the simplicity and naturalness of now. To give yourself the fullness of silence. To give yourself the fullness of silence, of your own silence. To stop shortchanging yourself and to truly give yourself to yourself in the silence. To give yourself everything that you are longing for. To not expect that anything external can give you what you are longing for. To not expect that anything external can give you what you won't give yourself. Can you give yourself the fullness of silence? Can you give yourself the fullness of this moment here now? Can you give yourself the wide openness and expansiveness of a love without conditions? Can you be here for yourself and not expect that life is going to give you this whole truth, because you are this whole truth, and it is to give yourself to yourself, to give yourself the grace of your own silence, to remember, to come to this fine frequency of remembrance, to be here so fully, so simply, so openly, so innocently here, wanting nothing, needing nothing, asking for nothing, being here, just open, ready, available for the silence to swallow you into the depths of your own heart, to swallow you whole into the vast, boundless depths of remembrance. You know yourself. You know this truth. Just to stop denying the truth of who you are. Stop pretending that you are limited. Stop pretending you are anything less than whole. Rest where the resonance of remembrance is so alive. Let go of the need to create more experiences, more of all that the mind and the me enjoys. And come to this readiness, this willingness to just be here now, to really know in your knowing what is true, what is enlivening, what is enriching, what is real, what is real. Give yourself to what is real. This moment is the holy moment. There is only this moment, this holy moment, to choose the glory, to say yes to the glory, and to see where there can be such a habit to make the allegiance with fear, make an allegiance with the mind, and be pulled into the tangled web. But when the spotlight is shining on you, and this spotlight that we are speaking of is the divine spotlight, when you are chosen, not you personally, but when consciousness is ready at a tipping point and the light is on, it is your moment to say yes. It is your moment to be taken. The curious thing is that your moment, your holy moment, might seem to the mind to be all kinds of dissatisfying, all kinds of uncomfortable, all kinds of disturbed, all kinds of discordant. But in these moments, there is such a holiness, such a grace, because in these moments where the mind is not happy with what it has, this is the moment to not be pulled into the story of lack and deficiency, but to shift the attention and say yes to wholeness. The holy moment is the moment when you have the humility to admit that you are wrong and that everything you are giving power to means nothing. The holy moment is the moment where you get to really come into your crunch point, the choice point in your inner functioning. What are you going to choose here? Are you going to choose to collaborate with the mind's story of lack and deficiency and brokenness? Or are you going to choose to sit in the resting in your wholeness? Every moment offers this, and the funkiest moments are the greatest possibility to not fall in, to not fall into the story of deficiency, and to give yourself the love that you are longing for, to give yourself the remembrance of wholeness that you are longing for. That you are not a problem to be fixed. You are love itself. You are wholeness itself. And this holy moment is your moment to shine. It is your moment to not capsize and get pulled into the story of deficiency. It is this shift in allegiance in such a moment that is so profound and powerful to enter the holy burning when you don't say yes to another round of what your mind wants you to fall into, that you don't say yes to another round of the same old story and drama that your mind wants you to collaborate with, and that you accept this possibility to realign and correct your perspective of seeing, that the humility is this inner power to say, okay, I can do that again. I can do another round of that story, the story of lack, the story of misery, the story of the victim, the story of hardship. I can do another round here. Or I can just stay steadfast and strong in the presence of being and watch the character burn in the holy fire of not getting what they want. I can stay here. And when you recognize in your inner functioning that you have the power in a way to feel that as a choice, to accept that correction, to accept the possibility to be humbled and to realize that you don't have to play out the story for another round. There comes a moment where you see, oh, I don't have to do that. That does not serve my greatest longing. That does not serve my allegiance with the remembrance of the glory of God. That does not serve the knowing of truth. And you don't know what it looks like, but you do have the knowing that to stay strong and clear in the presence of being and to not give in to another round. The mind will pull all kinds of tricks and strategies to try to pull itself into another round. But the aware being is just aware and untouched. Feel the truth of what is not touched, what is not disturbed, what never changes, what is clear and natural and open. And in the holy moment, can you stay here, silent, clear, and free? Can you stay simple when the mind wants to bring in the story of complexity, perhaps a story of judgment or self-judgment or opinion or self-opinion? Can you stay, remain as yourself, as the true one, in the face of that which wants to pull the attention into another round of me and my story? Now, it is true, we are so open and welcoming to hear the voice and expression of these deeply held places. But there also comes a point where we have to hold the ground of being, because the child, just like any child, if it knows that it can win the attention and get what it wants, it will keep going again and again. And there is a point where we have to come to see, is this just the child trying to win and get its way? The child of the mind trying to win and get its way? Another round? Another round. Let's do another round. Let's just try this. This might work. This might fix you. This might make it all feel better. That mind is never, ever going to believe that you are not a problem to fix, because the mind itself is the deficiency story. The mind itself is a conditioning. So there is a point, and we have to come to this point all by ourselves. We have to come to the mature recognition of when we are cycling again and again, and recognize, okay, this is the same thing. Okay, I'm saying the same things. Okay, now this is getting crazy. We know this. We know this one. Here we are again. But it's not for the mind to come in with a, yes, haven't we already done this? Shouldn't we already have got through this? That's not what it's about, because that's an interceptor that is also protection. It's about being the being, the resilient, the radiant, the courageous light of your own being, the untouched, the immaculate, the perfect, the beautiful, supreme wholeness that you are. This is your moment. This moment that feels so discordant, so hard, so ready to collapse, so ready to just fall in. Get on that internet, try to find the next solution? What can I send off for? What can I do? What kind of therapies? Who will help me with this? Another round. Are you willing to stay absolutely still, not move, not make that move, and actually listen to yourself, truly hear yourself? Are you willing to actually be here for yourself all the way through? Are you ready to give yourself the love, the nourishment that you are expecting the world to give you? Are you willing to give yourself the fullness of yourself and not expect that anything external owes you that, should give you that, can give you that? Are you ready to truly meet yourself, see yourself, hear yourself, receive yourself? This is the holy moment. This is the holy moment. The willingness to feel whatever it is when you don't make that move into the next round. What happens? What comes up if you don't make that move into the next round? To be yourself, to not collapse into the story, to be here for yourself so completely. Now the gracious glory is that the story will play, and it will play, and it will play, and we will keep taking another trip, another round on that merry-go-round. And at some point we see, at some point, there's just a deep knowing in your inner functioning. Actually, no. Actually, no, not that. Not that. I don't need to do this again. You are the intuitive wisdom. You are the knowing. No one else is judging you. No one else knows what is true. Life living itself. Not someone making decisions. Life living itself. And the glory is that all roads lead to the same truth. But the question is, how many times will we take the same road, the scenic route? How many times will we take another round, another jolly? How many times will we just go another round, just in case I can get what I want in the play of the world? If I could just this time be seen, be heard, fix what needs fixing. If this time I could just get what meets my deepest feeling, my core deepest feeling of lack, if I could just fill that little gap with something else, someone else's love, someone else's view of me, someone else giving me a reflection, something that's going to fix me. If I could just get that, then I am going to feel good. But what if That's a trick. What if you think that you've found what it's going to be, and then you find out that you've been tricked because you've fallen into another mental idea of, I think this is the way, this is it. No, this is it, this time. When are we ready to stop? You are not that one. You are not your story. You are not the story of lack, of deficiency. You are not your ailments, your aches and pains. You are not your emotional wounding. You're not any of the things that you think you are. You are not what you think you are. And your deepest knowing knows. Your deepest knowing knows who you are in truth. And the invitation is to stay true. Stop. Be still. Be with yourself. Meet yourself. Give yourself the love and nourishment. Give yourself everything that you are longing for. What happens is there is such a feeling of lack, that we have this deep core belief that we don't deserve that nourishment. There's so many subtleties to this. We believe that we don't deserve that nourishment because we have this deep belief within the lack that we're not good, that we're somehow deficient, that we somehow can't be fixed, we're somehow, something is wrong, deeply, deeply wrong. And so we have this deep core belief that I can't actually get fixed. And yet that story can't be fixed in the way the me wants it to be fixed. It's the recognition of what has never been broken that actually shifts all of the functioning that feels to be deficient. It's the remembrance of what is true. And this is in the silence, in the stillness. Mm. Mm. True nourishment is in the stillness, in the silence. It's not always easy. It's not always easy. It's not always easy because things arise that feel very, very challenging. And in the feeling of the challenge, there is such a strong pull to get pulled in by the mind. It's so strong, so strong. Mm. And the invitation is this place where we don't get pulled in by the mind. And we really hold this space. We really hold this space. We come to this place in our own inner functioning where we just recognize a repeating and a repeating and a repeating. And in that repeating and repeating, what needs to shift is holding the clarity while the me goes through that burning of not getting what it wants. Because when the me doesn't get what it wants, and the allegiance with truth is held, everything starts to shift. Everything starts to shift. Life is living itself. There's many twists and turns. You are the observer of it all. You're watching it all. You're not the character. Everything is playing itself out. There's no right, there's no wrong. Ample opportunity here for the mind to come in with ideas of shame or guilt, or I'm getting it wrong, or I should do this, or I have to do that. This is not what this is about. This is about tapping into the remembrance of who you are and recognizing a resilience, a true resilience, a steadfastness in the presence of being, in the silence itself. That which knows, that which knows. Could also create a stirring in the mind, a resistance. But the thing is that the grace of this speaking and how this works is that it's a mirror. And if there is any resistance, there's your purification, right? If the mind is kicking up a storm, this isn't what I want to hear. This is not what I want to hear, actually. There's the purification, right? Whatever happens in the presence of what is being shared is the purification, is the refinement happening. This is not what it looks like. Whatever happens, whether there's a real deep recognition of and clarity of the silence and the truth, that is beautiful. And if there is resistance or stress or purification happening, that is equally beautiful. Whatever happens in the presence of the sharing is perfect and beautiful. This is how the true grace of life works, is that it stirs itself to surface what we wouldn't otherwise be able to access, to allow that surfacing and the stresses to be released. Right? You are the love. You are the compassion. You are everything that you are longing for. And the invitation is to feel that here now, to feel the love, the presence of being, the stillness, the silence. However it is recognized, the openness, it is to feel the truth of who you are and to be here, true, open. Meet yourself, welcome yourself. If there's any discordance arising, any resistance arising, welcome it wholeheartedly. If there's a feeling of confusion or not knowing, welcome it wholeheartedly. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. You are not the doer. Life is living itself. Everything is playing itself out. You are the awareness of the play. You are the awareness. And as the awareness, you are untouched, undisturbed, unmoved. Just to feel the truth of this in your direct experience. You are the love. You are the wholeness. You are the presence of being. You are everything that you are longing for. You are the one that you have been waiting for. You are everything to yourself. And it is this invitation to be here with yourself, for yourself, meet yourself, where you can feel the truth of who you are, the openness, the love, and where you can also feel the stirrings, the questions, the discordance, the not knowing. And you can meet all of these places so openly, so lovingly. You can be here for all that you are, deeper and deeper. And sometimes we need to be held. Sometimes we need to be held. Sometimes we need to be witnessed. Sometimes we need a reflection to remind us the truth of who we are. Everything is conspiring to bring us to freedom. Freedom from the mind that keeps us trapped, that keeps us in the cycling of just another round, right? Freedom from the mind that wants to be an authority, that wants to keep the sense of me alive, that you are not what you think you are. And the whole play of life is conspiring to bring you to the remembrance. So this silence that is full of itself, recognize in the silence, in the stillness, the presence of being that knows itself. Feel yourself here. Feel yourself here. Feel the knowing of who you are, the presence of being that just is. Just being yourself, just here, just now, just as you are. At this holy moment, this moment is the moment to be yourself, to say yes to yourself, to remember yourself, that you are free of the mind, you are free of the moving, changing, you are utterly free, utterly free. Discordance, the resistance, the stress patterns unravel in the presence of love, in the presence of love. And so we are coming to the depth of remembrance where we can recognize being the presence of love, being so absorbed in the love that is, that we have the power within our own functioning to transmute and heal everything that is discordant, that we have the power to heal everything that is discordant when we are in the knowing of this love, the openness. The openness is the love, and that we can resonate at this finer frequency, that is a frequency that has the power to untangle all that is discordant. In a way, what is really happening is that the pure frequency, in a way, cancels out the discordance. It illuminates in such a brilliant way and such a depth of remembrance of the true fine frequency that there's just a falling away of the patterns that have been held as beliefs and conditionings and protections. Resonating here. There's a lot happening right now. There's a lot happening in the field. a lot of unraveling, a lot of movement. There's a lot being seen. And there's also resistance and discordance that is transmuting. And there's also resistance in the field. Everything is welcome. Everything is welcome. Everything is welcome into the fine frequency of love. And it is in our deepening, we are amplifying the fine frequency of the remembrance of love, in which everything can transmute. All that wants to release can be released and be held in this love. Be held. Be held. Be heard. Be heard. Because this love invites everything, all expression is welcome, right? So we want to listen to these places. We want to hear the expression. That you hear these discordant places. You see, you meet, you listen to these discordant places. And yet you don't give them what they want. But you truly, truly receive the expression. Whatever it is. The sense of confusion, the sense of I don't know how to, I don't know what. In a way, it's this place that we come to of not knowing, confusion, not knowing, where we hit, like, it could even be like a hopelessness. It could even feel like a despair. It can move. It could be anywhere in that spectrum. But that feeling of I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with this. I don't understand. I don't know. This place is the holy place, because this is the place where we can let go and surrender into not knowing, and be humbled in our not knowing. And in that not knowing, there can be a letting go and a releasing that happens, a releasing of the human condition and trying to hold it all together, right? Ways that we try to hold it all together. We try to hold everything. We're not supposed to know. There's something greater that's moving it all. And what is happening is we're being asked to hand it over, to not know, to not understand, to just not know, and that it's okay. And yet that can feel terrifying, right? Mm. And we don't know we are real, because in truth, we don't know. There's nothing that we know. So when we don't know we are real, we are here, we are present. Just this, just this, just this, just this, just this. Love is always here. And yet, because of the conditioning and protection and that core story of deficiency, we imagine that love is not here, that love is missing, and that we have to try to find love connection, whatever that is, in the external. But the truth is that love, connection, true connection, and our longing for love, connection, is our longing to feel the true source connection, to feel the connection to the glory, to God, to love itself, to the mother. That's what we are longing for. And we can fulfill that longing when we stop looking in the external and we open as deeply as we are able to find that nourishment within ourselves. And through that nourishment, we deepen and deepen into the remembrance. Now, this unfolding, we could say on a certain level, it's all here, you're perfect, it's all, but it happens seemingly incrementally as we release protections, as more surfaces, as it gets transmuted. The truth is, yes, you are this wholeness now, you are this love now. And the knowing is here. And what we are inviting is that we amplify and enliven the remembrance of this knowing. And we also recognize where there is stirring, and we allow that stirring to be welcomed into this love. That there is as much grace in stirring and purification happening as there is in deepening into the remembrance of love and feeling really deeply absorbed in the fine frequency of love that you are. It's not one good, one bad. It's that it's all the same. And that really, as we deepen and refine, we're recognizing that more and more subtly that it's all the same. So we're not shying away from anything and trying to get more of something else, that we're this openness that welcomes it all just as it is, because we have this knowing of the true being that we are that is untouched. We have this knowing of the being that is untouched. And this being that is untouched is not someone, it's not a mind, it's not a body. It's a knowing of the eternal. It's the eternal flame. It's the remembrance. And this is infinite, unbounded, timeless, and boundless. And this knowing is inside every heart, in the silence, in the stillness. The remembrance is here. And this is what gives us courage and willingness, is this remembrance. This is who you are. It allows the unraveling of all of the layers of characterfulness and protection and conditioning to happen. It allows a depth of unraveling out of who we have thought we are and into the remembrance of who we are in truth. So as these words come, it's always just about the resonance. And to notice what is happening in the nervous system. What is happening in the resonance is that there might be frequencies that feel like little triggers and charges and stirrings. And there might be a sense of deepening into the fine frequency of remembrance. A deepening remembrance of this silence, this stillness, this true being that you are. Essentially, when everything is taken away, what remains? When the mind is taken, the body is taken, when the story of me is taken, when it feels like your heart cannot bear anymore, what remains? What remains untouched? What is never touched? What remains? When all that you have imagined that you are is stripped away, what remains? In a way, we have to know this before there can be an embodying of all of this. Because otherwise we are working still within the mind's realm of wanting to keep itself comfortable. If we don't strip away what we are not, we don't truly remember who we are. We kind of just create a middle of the road experience. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. But ultimately what's happening is still the me is just trying to make itself feel better. We're not really free of the mind. To really come to a freedom of the mind, we have to have the courage and willingness to keep facing the mind, recognizing where this repeating cycling can just keep playing. That yes, there's so much compassion and meeting of these places that feel to be so wounded and broken. There's a meeting of these places, and there's such a power to allowing the surfacing and the wisdom of these places to be held in love. There's so much beauty in it. But there is also this place that we want to be ready for in our inner functioning, where we just see, oh, maybe I don't need to do this again. That there are these patterns that we can keep playing out. And we just come to a point of seeing, oh, maybe I don't have to do that. Maybe I don't have to play out this relationship dynamic in the same way. Maybe it's not just about doing it the way that I've always done it. Maybe there is something different. What if I just stop right now and I don't follow what the mind says? What if I just stop and let there be this burning where the me doesn't get what it wants? What if I just meet these feelings even more deeply? Every feeling, the feeling of confusion, the feeling of not knowing, even as we say, the feelings of hopelessness, despair. What if there's a meeting of whatever comes up? And of course, asking for help and holding when it is needed if things arise that feel like too much or a lot, even if it just feels kinder to be held, right? To be supported, because we need that. And it's also part of breaking the conditioning, the story of doing it alone. But we can also come to these places where cracking something open is the point where we actually just need to share it. We need companionship. We recognize that we're not leaving what is true. We're actually coming into a deeper clarity of what is true when we don't hold these conditioned ways of imagining I have to do this alone. Right? There's so many threads to it, so many subtleties. But as these words come, you find in your inner functioning, you find what feels true. You feel the resonance of what feels true and you let the rest go. You notice where the intuitive knowing of who you are is alive. The love that you are is so wide open that the heart is so deeply absorbed in just being the love. And you recognize the places that are twangy, right? You recognize the places that feel stirred. And this openness to welcome it all, to welcome it all. Because somehow there's some kind of enlivening amplification of the frequency of remembrance. And there's also purification that will always happen in the presence of love, always. Purification and refinement will happen in the presence of love because in a way, these places make a dash for love, right? When these places recognize that love is here, they feel the knowing of this love and they actually just want to come, boom, to remembrance. They just want to unfurl and blossom into remembrance. Right? So hear the love. Here you are the love, the openness, just in the presence of being. You might not feel it as love. This is one little piece that the mind can bring forward. You might feel it just as the being, just as stillness, silence, peace. You might feel it as an aliveness, an openness, a silence. This is love. And at some point, the heart opens and really recognizes this love. True love, pure love. It's just this openness, this unprotectedness. It's really just a singing yes of the heart, knowing itself, the silence of the heart, knowing itself and singing its silent song to itself. and hear the love, and hear the absorption in love, absorbed in the being, absorbed in your true self. And as you are more and more deeply absorbed in the love that you are, in the presence of being, you are the light, the way, you are everything that you need to unravel the conundrums that might feel like they are some kind of discordance in their life. Because you have the power here in the presence of being as the frequency of love to hold in presence as presence everything that feels discordance. And of course, if there's something that feels to be surfacing that feels unmanageable, then that is your cue to reach out, to be sure that you follow the cue to reach out and be held when that is needed. In truth, you are always held. But sometimes it's the movement of reaching out that actually boomerangs back the remembrance, right? Even if that reaching out is in the ethers, it will bring back the remembrance, right? Just to offer yourself, your hopelessness, your not knowing, your confusion to the silence. And just sit, just wait. Sometimes that reaching out is actually to ask for companionship, right? You know what you need. The heart knows. The heart is the knowing. The heart is the intuitive knowing. And as we open to remember the silence of the heart, we remember the true heart, the wide open heart, the heart that is love. Mm. Mm. Just this silence here now, the richness, the fullness of this silence. Silent love. True love song. Right here. Your heart singing a song of love, a song of truth, a song of openness, the song of fullness, the song of belonging to yourself.